Because sometimes what we think we are portraying and what other people see can actually be very different.
Community is important to youth. Like, that's how I make decisions. That's how youth find their values.
Different situations that we walk into, right?
Surround yourself with good influence and surround yourself with good peers.
Old people value certain things, young people value different things.
I think strawberries are cute and I would love to be a strawberry.
What do you think my values are based on your interaction with me? Welcome to Halopod-cast, where we explore the transformative power of leadership through Halogen's attributes framework. We are your hosts, Sean, and this is Ella. And in this series, The Inner and Outer Leader, we'll dive into key leadership qualities like emotional intelligence, resilience, and effective communication, and how they can shape the leaders of tomorrow.
Whether you're an educator, a parent, or someone who guides the next generation, this podcast is here to equip you with practical insights and actionable tools to support young people as they navigate the world and become the leaders they're meant to be.
So in this episode, we'll explore the impact that our values and our inner drives have on individuals and their approach to leadership. We'll share how we discovered our core values and their role as the guiding principles that underpin how we make decisions and choices in all areas of our lives. So if you're ready to learn, grow, and make an impact, let's dive in. Looks like we'll have a valuable conversation today, talking about values. So maybe for a start, right, I'll just kind of try to define or unpack the term values, right? Because it's something that we see, or it seems like it's a term that gets thrown around, right? We see it on the walls of buildings. You open your school handbook, it's written somewhere, and then across the few hundred schools in Singapore, all more or less the same one, right? Integrity, harmony, resilience, so different forms of RICEE and that kind of stuff, but what exactly are values, right? And I think there are a few ways to understand it. At Halogen, we have this framework called the beliefs, values, behavior, and action, right? Yeah, BVBA. So it's adapted from cognitive behavioral psychology, right? But and it describes why people behave or choose and act out the way they do, right? And right at the core of a person is their belief system, right? What do they believe about themselves? What do they believe about the world, right? So for example, right, if they believe that they can be successful, then the values that they will hold is they would tend to value opportunities that are given to them. Right, and if they value the opportunities that are presented to them, then they are more likely to behave and act in a way that capitalizes and maximizes on these opportunities. Yeah. So conversely, if the belief system is, no matter what I try, I cannot succeed, right? Then when you present an opportunity to them, they are less likely to value it, right? And then that leads to their behavior and their actions. They don't pay attention in class, or they think that this opportunity is not important, it's not going to amount to anything, and they basically don't seize those opportunities.
Okay. How would you define like beliefs and values? Like, to me, they all kind of sound the same now.
Yeah, so belief system is what you, like I mentioned earlier, right? It's how you think and make sense of yourself and the world around you, right? So there are a few, let me just throw out a few belief statements, right? So for example, the world is a beautiful place. Right?
For real?
That's a belief statement, right?
Okay.
Here's another one, right? People are inherently evil.
Wow.
That's what you believe about others.
Okay.
Right? So can you imagine if that is your inherent belief, how you approach strangers, how you approach, meeting new people, right? Versus people are inherently good. Yeah, then your approach to relationships will be quite drastically different, right? So those are belief statements, what you believe about yourself, what you believe about people, what you believe about the world and how the world operates. Yeah.
Then what are some examples of values then?
Good question. So values are things that you hold as important to you, right? And some of these are shaped very much by your belief system, right? So if you, for example, believe that everyone is made equal, right? Then you would value more humanitarian causes, for example.
Okay,
right? You
I
value
get it.
equality, you value maybe diversity and some of these things, right? But let's say you have this was Hitler's belief, right? That there is a supreme race, right? That was inherently his belief. Then he valued certain races over others, right? And he eventually he sought to exterminate what he deemed as the weaker races, lah.
So what I'm hearing is that beliefs are how you define or perceive the world, and values is how you communicate them.
I won't say it's how you communicate them, but your values are greatly influenced by your beliefs.
Interesting. Right? I thought it was the other way around. Like, because you have certain values, it shapes your beliefs.
Well, that's another way of looking at it, right? So this one is taken from adapted from cognitive behavioral psychology, right? Where at the core is how you think about yourself, people, and the world around you, and then it translates into your behaviors and your actions and your choices. Yeah.
It sounds like the BVDA thing.
Yeah. That's basically it's a more psychological approach to understanding why people act and choose the way they do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's this layer called values, which is things that what is important to you is influenced by what you believe about yourself, the world, and other people. And maybe just for this episode, right, I want to introduce interesting ways, right? These are not the only ways of looking at or unpacking values, right? But one of those things about values is you can always see them on a spectrum. Now, if you're a person that likes to see things in black and white, this would be helpful, right? So, for example, if you value life, right, you love life, right, and you believe everyone should live a full life, right, healthy and all that, then you will then what's on the other end of the spectrum is a dull life or unfull life or an empty life, right, which can be self-destructive life and all that, right? So if you put them on a spectrum, if you're someone that values a full life, then you would necessarily have to hate or go against the other end of the spectrum.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, for example, if you love animals, then you will have to hate animal cruelty. Yeah.
But the world isn't so binary also, right?
Yeah. So I'm saying this is just one way of looking at things. You value honesty, you hate dishonesty. Yeah. You know, you value kindness, or if you value justice, you have to hate injustice. Yeah.
Okay. So I noticed something that's in front of you right now. Value sorting action cards.
Yeah. So
subtle
this is
plug. Yeah.
So this is a value sort card produced by Halogen, right? So we typically use this as an activity and we make people go through it. So there are 50 over values inside and 50 over values, right? And these values were researched by the research team, right? And we arrived at this, I think it's 52 values. And we use this as an activity where they narrow down, right, going through these values right down to maybe their top 5 or to their top 3 values. Okay, have you done this before?
I just tried it actually, but I know you tried yours before.
Yeah,
what are your top 5?
I've done this many times, and I think one of the interesting things that I've noticed over the years, right, when I do this is that, you know, sometimes the top few, or even though they can be consistent, they do change in the ranking.
Like fluctuate. Okay.
Yeah. So you know, sometimes this takes a higher place, sometimes this takes a back seat.
I think it's like a stage of life thing. Like you value certain things.
Very likely. Yeah, it's true. Okay. So what are your top values that you arrived at? Okay.
When I was doing this test, right, I was like thinking about my past experiences and just how I define myself. Okay, so my top 5, I've listed out actually are fortitude, courage, influence, hope, and community.
Wow. I also have fortitude. I mean, I'm in my 40s now.
I got it. Fortitude.
Yeah.
Very good. But I think how I define fortitude is like, we're talking about personal anchors and we're talking about values that center us towards our goals, our actions. The way that I see fortitude is being an anchor for my team, myself, and emotional resilience, which I feel is really important. I guess for a young person, everything is uncertain and I still have so many experiences to live out. I still have so many values that I myself haven't fully comprehended. Maybe I have a surface level understanding of how a value seems. But I think having fortitude and being strong is something that's very important to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I like to ask this question in the workshops, right? Because values is a very unseen part of our life. We don't walk around with our values pasted on our forehead and say, hey, I'm 42, I'm 42, you know, like, okay, maybe me being in my 40s, I have fortitude written all over my face. Right?
Can tell in the ring.
Yeah, fortitude, right? Then after that will be 52 and 62. But we don't always wear our values on our sleeves. It's an invisible part of our operating system. So this is the question I like to ask when I run programs that talk about values, right? Is the people that work with you, that interact with you, how do they know that you value fortitude? How is it seen through your words, your actions, your choices?
It's a very interesting question. I should go and like conduct a survey with the people I work with. How does one of you, Ella? But very hard to define also. I think this is something you get asked a lot in like student leadership in general. Every time they interview you, every time, I don't know, you stand for election also for whatever position, or you just put yourself out there to the whole school population, is I guess what makes you a good leader? How do you define yourself and what differentiates you from the rest? And when I sat and when I thought about it, I think I'm known for being somebody with a lot of fortitude because, I don't know, I just seem strong. Like, not in a physical sense. People, I hope, see me as dependable, reliable, and somebody that stays true to their words. So if I, for example, I tell my teammates, okay, we're going to do ABC, I stick to that vision, I commit to it, and I make sure that we're able to follow that along, which is why one of my other personal values is influencer.
Okay.
Something Halogen mentions, leadership is influence, right?
Yes,
I remember.
For sure. It is. Yeah. But I think this is a worthy question for us to consider, right? Because a lot of times we say we value something, and you gave a very good idea, and I did this exercise also once, right? Which is, this is a Facebook generation, right?
Facebook. Wow.
And I got my participants to just post on Facebook.
Okay.
Right? What do you think my top values are based on your interaction with me?
Interesting.
Yeah, right. So it's like what you say, right? Doing a survey, getting feedback. Because sometimes what we think we are portraying and what other people see can actually be very different.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like you say health is important, but you eat junk food all the time. Nobody's gonna guess that health is a value, you know? Yeah.
Would that mean, like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like a hypocrite with myself. Like, maybe sometimes I can see it in myself.
Probably
right?
are, yeah.
Oh, wow, thanks. But like, I guess sometimes values are being tested, limits being stretched. I feel like maybe, like what you said, values change, time moves on, right? But have you ever felt like, I don't know, your values were tested, or like you are at odds with whatever you portray or whatever you say?
Yeah, I think that is a very natural part of going through life, because people hold different values.
Yep.
Right. Which means you are operating in a world where maybe this organization or this institution doesn't operate on the same set of values that you do, right? And then let's say you want to work together with them. You need to find some kind of middle ground, right? Which, you consists of you having to compromise somewhat to be able to achieve some of these goals. So I think it's a very normal part of life that when you interact with people with different sets of values, your values will be challenged, your values will be tested. And yeah, right. And it's also in these moments when your values get tested and challenged, sometimes, and I'm not saying this is a good outcome, right? Okay. Sometimes you find that, you change your values system to suit how large organizations or how the world operates.
And you just say a very good point, actually. Like, what if I'm not what people perceive my values to be? Like, I say A, I do B, or things like that. Have you ever had your values in that way kind of like tested, or feel like a inner hypocrite?
Probably, but sometimes we don't show our full selves to everyone around us. So let's just take the value of family. All right, and valuing family members. You hardly display that side of you when you're out with non-family.
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Right. But there are subtle ways that even amongst friends or non-family, people will know that family is a value, which is, for example, you have a family event or gathering, or you have a weekly family dinner that is sacred, right? Because you value it, and you keep turning down, people jio you, right? Like, but then it's happens to be that protected Sunday evening family dinner. All right, and you just keep saying, "Oh, sorry, I can't do dinners at that time because I have dinner with my family." Right. So those are subtle ways that over time people realize, oh yeah, Ella spends her Sundays with her family. Now they are not going to say Ella values her family, right? But it's just a subtle way that people know you make protected time for your family, right? But they're not going to say you don't value your family, right? But they might not say you value your family either, lah. It's not one of those kind of things that you will show up in your coffee conversations. You keep talking about my mother, my father. Those are not conversations that are good for friendship building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then what about like inner hypocrisy? Like, I guess having your values at odd or your values being like tested.
Explain a bit more. What do you mean by like being tested or being a hypocrite?
I guess like we were just talking about values changing, changes with age. Like for example, your value sorting, they fluctuate in terms of ranking depending on what you prioritize. What's like an instance where I guess your values or your sense of self were tested lah? Like, have you ever had like a value that was so true to yourself that like feel a bit like betray, like sense?
Yeah, and some of these things are a bit are a bit more on the subconscious level, right? That, sometimes you never know something mattered so much to you until you are faced with that situation. And to a large extent, I think that's how people gain clarity of values, right? When something drastic tends to happen. So I can share a recent one, right? So in my day job, I do retail, right? So I help to sell big sports equipment, right? And one of the moments that I found you can say my values were challenged lah, was as a business, right? As a retail business, you are there to get your customers' money. Right. So the context is this was February, just after Chinese New Year. And children have a lot of ang pao money.
Yeah.
Right. And so there were these little kids coming into our shop, and sports equipment not cheap lah. Right. So our equipment is something like in the range of $50 to $100, that kind of thing, and so these like 10, 11-year-old kids just come into the shop and say, I want to buy this. Right. And then they take out their ang pao money, kaching. And I spent 15 years in youth development, right? And suddenly my very fatherly thinking will be like, hey, you're 10, 11 years old, you really shouldn't be spending money like that. So at that moment, I felt that there was that conflict of business interests and what the business values, and yeah, as a business, you need to make money, right? And it's not a wrong thing, right? But then the competing value is actually, as a young person, you should learn the value of prudence. Don't buy something that you don't need. So it's not to say that the company's values were bad. It's just that at that point of time, they were competing with each other, right? The next question is, how do I resolve it, right? Yeah. So I'm not their father. I do not have a right to say you shouldn't be spending money like that, right? You don't go around the streets telling, hey, you don't buy this, don't buy that, right? That's not my place
I'm going to
do
keep
that.
Right?
So yeah, lor, you just live with the tension, lor, that sometimes you're making money off the imprudence of other people. What about you? Have you been at in a situation where you feel that your values have been challenged, and you had to make like difficult decisions?
Let me think. I think just like what I mentioned just now, one of the things I think people see me as, or something that I value a lot, is not really being optimistic, not really being hopeful. It's like a mix of both. Like, I'm a young person, so I feel like I should just try, just do, right? But I feel like, like what you said, sometimes people value things at different times. Maybe my teammates aren't as optimistic, aren't as hopeful as I am, or maybe bopian situation seems dire lah, right? So I feel like in general, every single day, my values are being tested because I haven't got the experiences to go and like, I guess, affirm every single value that I currently have. Like maybe 40 years down the road, right? All my hope is gone. And I'll just like sit down there, I'm like, what was I thinking?
You become a cynical person.
Yeah, I become a cynical person. I was like, wow, Ella in the past, so naive, you know. But I think like this year, I recently started like a new venture per se, right? With people I've never really worked with before. You can say we're colleagues first, and then we became friends. Yeah, colleagues, right? So me and this group of youth, we decided to start an organization, and the scale of which we decided to do it, right, is unbelievably like sometimes I bang it against wall and I like, what was I thinking? But I think because it was something so new, something so never done before, okay, in my opinion at least, it just seemed like my hope, my faith, my belief in myself was being tested. I think usually I'm quite self-assured.
Yeah.
I guess. Right?
And you felt it was tested because it didn't seem like it was going to be, this project that you're doing was not going to happen at the scale that you thought it would happen. It would be challenging reaching that scale, that size.
I guess so. It's like, you know, I really had like a huge conflict with myself, and I think at one point the work became like more labor than like a labor of passion, you know. It's just like, I guess everything became so dull and I felt so burnt out because I don't know why, all physical signs of what we were doing, whether it's the proposals, whether it's people pulling out on us, whether it's partnerships falling through, every physical sign pointed towards we're going to fail. So, you know, sometimes I have to sit with myself and think, am I being optimistic or am I being like blind? Like, is it Santa Claus fallacy for me to just say I put in a lot of labor and I put in a lot of love and a lot of passion and I want to do it? That's why I continue to do it? Or am I really like dragging my team down with me because I have a vision that maybe they do not have at this time? Which is like a huge conflict with myself because I don't want to be the burden of the team and I don't want to be like...
Let me throw a spanner into and it is something for you to think about, right? And let me throw another challenge to your values, right? And it's this. If it happens at a smaller scale, is it still worth doing?
I think we did downscale from our original humongously ambitious plans, but if we were at a smaller scale, okay, I think when I joined, the prospect of doing something big was what like challenged me. You know, the ambition in
the
me
excitement
was like, yes, like I can do this if we pull it off, right? Like aura gain, which is a term that like youth use. It's okay, aura gain.
Explain, because maybe our listeners also, you know, got fortitude.
Fortitude. Okay. I'll give you youthitude. Okay. So aura gain, right, is when you do something that like, you know, like, can you imagine like somebody walks into school and then they got like one AirPod in and then they walking like with a bit of swagger. Okay, I use a term that your generation might like a swagger. So they walk into like school, right, and then they got that swagger, arms swinging back, they look a bit cool like that. So that's like aura. Like somebody that seems like cool, like, oh my god, I want to be friends with them, or oh wow, aura king. So it's like, I guess the prospect of pulling it off was so intense that I was thinking to myself, you know, I dug myself this hole because of my expectations of it. And of course I could downscale, of course I could do that.
But
it's
no aura
like,
again.
Aura gain by a bit but like I sit down and I'm like, oh, I wasted you know. We had such big plans and then we couldn't follow through on it So it's not like we couldn't. It's more like wasted Like when we sat there, when we thought Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, I asked this question because, you know, there is also a different dimension to values, right? And there's a time dimension to it. And I asked, time dimension to it. And I asked you, all right, if you scale it down and you could still do it as a form of laying a foundation to build the eventual scale that you want, all right? Would that be something that matters for you, right? Because it's not so much the scale of the project that is important. It's the meaning and the impact behind the project, right? So instead of impacting 1 million people, if it only impacts 100, is it still meaningful? right? Yeah.
I think that's like honestly one of the things that you struggle with, seeing far into the future and seeing everything as a step. I think when you're like not really living day to day, like I can't say like I stay in school, then I pray that class ends and I hope that I can make it back home, lie on my bed and go to sleep and then wake up another day of school, right? I think in general for youth, it's a bit hard lah.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to think where like I can see so far into the future, but when your future has been like for me 17 years, I was like, it's like honestly nothing. I can't remember the first like 10 years of my life.
So traumatic, yeah.
No, it just felt like I woke up, went to school, and that was like how life was like as a youth. So I think it's a bit hard at that point in time when I was thinking about it to see far into the future, see this as a next step.
Yeah.
But I agree with what you said. I really do. And I guess seeing room for improvement, and maybe your goal isn't something that can be achieved in a year. Maybe it's a 5-year plan, an East Coast plan, a 10-year plan. That has to take lots of time, lots of effort, and the right people to do it.
Yeah. And sometimes also even doing the uncomfortable things, right? So those of us who are parents, you understand this, right? If we look at the value of a person's well-being, right? You value someone's well-being, and you put that on a time dimension. You can value the present well-being, or you can value the future well-being of the person. But what you do to ensure the present well-being can sometimes jeopardize their future well-being, right? And what you do for their future well-being can make them really uncomfortable in the present moment. So even though it is that one value of well-being, but you put that on a time dimension, it can seem to be at odds with each other. Like, do I want to discipline my kid now, or...
Oh, right. Yeah, but you're a parent. I just remember that.
Yeah. Yes, I'm a parent. It's apparent to you, yeah.
I get asked this question like by myself, by my parents, by my family, by everybody who knows me. Why do I do what I do? Or like, why am I a student leader when my occupation is technically student, right? But I feel like student leadership in schools is such a privileged position to be able to do something for somebody that I care about. And students are like me. I'm a student. And if I can make their days like more bearable, why don't I? Like it's a genuine question. It's not like a politically correct answer. Like, I think of my favorite classmate, right? When they come to school, they sit down, they take a nap 7:30 in the morning, and then they wake up for class. Then during physics, they're like all groggy and everything, and they just look tired.
That's like me when I was a student.
How many years ago?
From 20 over years ago.
Oh my god. That's my entire lifespan. but like yeah. So it's like, if I could do something for my friends, why don't I? But I guess sometimes like student leadership feels very like rigid. Like, I can plan a super cool event, but then I need to consider like so many things, and I wouldn't say my values are being tested, but I learn new values and I have to adapt to whatever the situation is, right? Or if I'm working with different people, then maybe my values change also, because I wear different hats depending on the people I work with. Yeah,
and we carry different values into different situations that we walk into, right? So as an operating system, right, how we operate at work can be quite different from how we operate at home. Right? So for example, at work, you can be very achievement oriented, right? Because business results matter, and because of that, right, you are a bit more task oriented in how you deal with your relationships with your co-workers, right? Whereas at home, as a parent, you might be way less achievement oriented and a lot more nurture oriented. Right, because the stakes are different, right? This is your family, and you know you want the best for your children, whereas at work you want the best for the company and maybe not so much best for what's your colleagues, right? And I wouldn't say that it's necessarily wrong also, right? Because if your colleagues can also push themselves to achieve what's best for the company, it's also a good for them. For your colleagues to, they stretch themselves, they grow through it, right? Just that's not your key driving factor, right? Your key driving factor is you want what's best for the company. At home, you're more nurture oriented, right? So I don't see that as a conflict, right? It's just that you live out in different parts of your life in different settings. And in different settings, you have a different operating system to make your choices, to make your decisions. Yeah.
So just now you're talking about time dimension, then there's also a setting dimension. Then.
Yeah, context matters.
Yeah, so dimensional are human beings, right?
Multi-dimensional, yeah.
Can laugh at my joke.
Oh, it was a joke.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. I'll do better next time.
That was a joke in the fourth dimension. Doesn't exist. Well, what do you think are some of the since you talk about time dimension, right, then there's also the age dimension, right? Like old people value certain things, young people value different things. And it might be a stage of life thing rather than an actual like generational difference. But just for our audience, right, what do you think are some of the values that your generation, teenagers, early 20s, what are the values that they carry with them?
Values are.
What's important to them?
I think ultimately, it will be community. I think humans are lonely creatures, but it's crazy how this is what I was talking to a friend about, and we have very weird conversations, but we were talking about monkeys, right? It's crazy how monkeys, when they do decision making or when they just live life, right? It's either climb tree, get banana, or sit and chill, or don't get banana. It's it's so instinctual, and it's so they just do it. But then for humans, you need to think so much, right? But I feel that's why community is important to youth. That's how I make decisions. That's how youth find their values. There's a saying I'm a tapestry of the people around me, or you're only as good as your 5 closest friends. Something like that. I feel youth need community because we need to figure things out. And while there's alone time, you can solitude go and figure out who am I, right?
Yeah.
Community brings out the best in you, I guess. Something that I find important, every day I go to school, knowing that I'm very happy to see my friends and very happy to see my classmates. My table mate, he deals with me every morning, but I appreciate him because he's somebody that I study with, for example, or my table mates, my classmates, right? In CCA, I go to CCA because not only am I interested in what I'm doing, but because I have friends there and I'm excited to see them. And when I do service learning projects, right? Why do I do it? Because it's for community that I care about. And I think it's very important to feel interconnected, to feel integrated. This sense of belonging is how I attach my sense of self to. Something that I take pride in, something that I feel I'm being supported, even if it's a very innate thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Just a sidetrack about the monkeys, right? It's not that they don't have anything to think about. For them, it's also a survival game. They have to think about natural predators and all that. It's just that our version of survival looks very different from their version of survival.
Yeah, well, success. Yeah. What is survival to us, right?
So for us, we layer on things like success, prosperity, and other things onto our definition of survival, and that's why we think about a lot more things. For them, is got banana, don't have eagle in the sky, yay, and then as a community, they take turns to look out for predators, Yeah. But yeah, on this thing on community, I would say that is a value that I don't think any age group or generation will disagree with. Right, they will all agree that no man is an island. We cannot live alone. Just how it looks at different age groups can be quite different. And as you were describing it, right, I saw in you my younger self, right, where I wanted to be surrounded by friends, right, but after attaining fortitude, I realized community is still important, but how we perceive it now has changed. And this is more at a belief system level, right? That instead of, when I was young, I need hundreds of friends so that I feel self-significant. Now I just need 10 friends, right? And then as you grow older, maybe that number even shrinks, right? You ask those who are really senior, they might say, oh yeah, I just need 4 or 5 that I can regularly chat with. Yeah. So community is important. It just takes a different form at different stages of life. Yeah.
I'm still thinking about the monkey thing. Man, I really want to be like a monkey. Oh, my classmate, she got this really weird question in here that she started asking people, would you rather be a strawberry with human thoughts or human with strawberry thoughts?
Strawberry has no thoughts.
Exactly. It's how you interpret it.
Yeah.
And I would honestly, while I would love to be a strawberry with human thought, because I think strawberries are cute and I would love to be a strawberry. Sometimes it's just so hard lah. So many dilemmas, so many things to do. Human thoughts are crazy.
Yeah. But that's life, right? Dilemmas and making choices, and these choices are difficult because there are competing values, right? That are in tension with one another, right? And I think part of growth is knowing how to navigate some of these tensions, right? Sometimes tensions don't happen between outrightly good or bad values. It can happen between two good values, right? Two sets of good values that seem to be competing with each other, and yeah, sometimes you just need to know how to navigate and that space,
I think in general what we talked about like a lot today is that keyword, it depends, right? Everything you do now may have impact in the future, it may not. Sometimes you overthink things, sometimes we underthink things.
Yeah.
Complex human mind just makes us a little crazy, and I guess when our values are at odds, maybe we don't consider the time dimension, the situational dimension.
Yeah, time dimension, situational dimension, age dimension.
Yeah.
Right, same value takes a different form. And I think that's all part of growing through life, right? Sometimes your values takes a different form. Sometimes you take on different values, and sometimes values don't all show up in the same context, right? They show up in different context. Yeah.
I think for young people, like we were just talking about community and how I love my community. I think in general, young people, their values are shaped a lot by what they experience, even though it's not a lot, or by the people that they meet. So I think just one thing that I would encourage my fellow peers to do is really like surround yourself with good influence and surround yourself with good peers. Because I really think I learn a lot from the people I'm surrounded by. I have very like hardworking, very like disciplined friends, which I admire, respect. I need that grind, that motivation too. I have very kind and empathetic friends that I learn from, and I think wow, they're just such good people. And it's so important that you and your set of values, whatever they may seem like, you're proud of them, and you know for a fact that you stand with them in tough times, like even if they may be challenged, even if it doesn't seem like the right thing now.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a gut feeling also, right? Values is not like a yes or no. It's like I think, I guess, I feel this direction. You know?
But it can be a yes or no thing, and I think that's where gaining clarity of values matters. And yeah, we covered a couple of exercises, right? This is an example of an exercise that you can go through to gain clarity in values. But there are different things that you can do to gain clarity in values, right? You ask people, for example, what do you think my values are based on your interaction with me? The other one is to have a practice of introspection, right? Especially each time you have to make a difficult decision, right? Because of dilemmas and all that, right? When I make this decision, why, right? What was important in this decision-making process? Was there a hierarchy of values in my decision-making, right? So it's not to say that because you didn't make a decision based on that particular value, it means that value is unimportant, right? Maybe it just means at that point of time, there was a superseding, that value is important, just that in that moment, something else became more important. And this happens in emergencies and stuff like that.
It's just life lah.
Yeah, so yes, I would greatly encourage, if you really want to grow in clarity of your personal values, right? Do an exercise or indulge yourself in some quiet introspection. Keep a journal, especially when you have tough choices, and then when you revisit, your journal. I used to keep a journal in my when I was your age, right? And
oh my god.
Yeah, sometimes I read
back diary.
I read back on those things, I cringe. But when I read back, I realize what were my values at that point of time, and how they have kind of evolved to over time as my stage of life has also changed.
Personal growth.
And And I look back and say, yeah, that value was appropriate for that point of time in that stage. And I don't look at it and say, I hate that young person that I was, right? Yeah. So yeah, these are all things that we can do, right? Keep a journal, do a value sort, sign up for a Halogen workshop. You know?
Wow.
Yeah.
So subtle.
Yeah. Yeah. Halogen runs a Halogen Plus community. And from what I heard, it's a really great community to be a part of. Apparently, I'm a lifelong member of that community now.
Oh, the fortitude. I keep forgetting. But actually, I'm also part of the Halogen Plus community.
Yeah. So yes, community. That's one community that
join.
you can be a part of. That makes a tangible change for young people. Yep.
Yeah, it's honestly just fun. Surround yourself with cool people in the Halogen Plus community.
So yeah, we spoke a lot about values today. Ella, do you find the conversation valuable?
I don't know how to respond to that. If you found today's episode helpful, do share it with a friend, colleague, fellow leader, fellow young person. You can also subscribe so you won't miss our next conversation as we dive deeper into the importance of unlearning and relearning in an ever-changing world. With that, keep leading
Inside and out.